Our friend Rob Pizzola is a professional sports gambler in the great nation of Canada. In fact, now that we do the show on video as well, I see that he has a cup of Tim Hortons with him representing Canada so finely.
Like he's
You can
just drinking coffee.
you can follow Rob on Twitter at Rob Pizzola. He comes to us courtesy of BetStamp. BetStamp compares odds at dozens of sports books and automatically shows you where to bet so you can get the best odds and save money. You could download the BetStamp app today. Rob also has the Hammer Betting Network. And if you're interested in sports gambling, make sure you follow them on Twitter at the Hammer HQ. They always send out links to their watch parties and all their hoo-ha, or you could visit the website thehammer.bet. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Mark.
Nice to see you, actually, when he says that. So Rob is in Canada, and Crowder is in Arizona, and I'm in Miami at the studios with Solana. It's a global video production at this point. All right. Before I get to the Super Bowl stuff, because I'm super interested in this, what happens to the NBA Finals odds right now? Kevin Durant goes to Phoenix. Kyrie is with Luka in Dallas. There's been a whole bunch of movement. What happens betting wise?
Yeah, so the Mavericks didn't move a whole lot off of the Kyrie trade. I like that trade. I mean, I think it's very boom or bust for them regardless. You can't just ride Luka Doncic into the ground. I mean, he has one of the highest usage rates in the history of the NBA. He's playing way too many minutes, so they had to find him someone else. And obviously, Kyrie is very flawed, and he comes with like some defensive limitations and concerns as well. I don't mind that trade. I think that there's like a lot of upside to it. The market really didn't move a whole lot towards the Mavericks. The KD deal, the Suns now vaulted into the second best odds to win the NBA title, first in the West. So they're plus 425 now to win the NBA title. And honestly, like people are talking about the return or what they gave up. Who cares? Like they got Kevin Durant now. Like they have Kevin Durant. This was everyone complaining every year they can't get over the hump because they don't have a star player. They can't beat Giannis. They can't beat Luka Doncic. Now they actually have that star player. I think this is a very good team. They're not all that deep, but their top four is very good. There's no duo of defenders in the NBA that's going to be able to guard both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And then like Chris Paul is going to get the third best defender in crunch time for the other team as well. I like the Suns' chances now. Would I bet them at plus 425? No, I wouldn't, but I think they're the clear-cut favorites now in the Western Conference.
And Rob, what about individual stuff? Because obviously you put a super team together, the Suns are going to move up with a chance of winning a championship. What about like MVP? Same guy, different place. Did any of that change with these trades?
So not a whole lot. You still have Jokic as a pretty big favorite to win the MVP. I think he's minus 145 or so was the last time I saw the MVP market. Minus 155 now today, sitting around that number. Luka Doncic is the guy that, like, if I had to go an off the board, I think getting Kyrie really helps Doncic. I mean, he looks worn down on a nightly basis. Like the guy is just putting in minutes, usage. He's like 10-1 right now. I don't know that it's going to happen, but if you're going to take a long shot on the MVP market, or you think that Jokic is not going to get it, there's voter fatigue or whatever, I could see the Mavs having a big second half of the year. Doncic really benefiting from Kyrie being a good ball handler, getting him some good looks. So that would be where I would look, but not a whole ton of movement today based off of the trades.
Has the NBA stolen some of the shine from the NFL on Super Bowl week?
I don't know. Like, it's certainly today, but there's lots of stuff. Like the Waste Management Open, the PGA event is taking a lot of the shine now. People love this thing. Like they're supposed to have like 500,000 people in attendance at the Waste Management over the course of the weekend. I know a lot of my buddies who made the trip to the Super Bowl this year. They went out there today to watch, and like that's an experience that I think is kind of like starting to go hand in hand with Super Bowl Sunday. It's getting a lot more coverage.
All right, Rob Pizzola is with us. So who are you betting for the Super Bowl? Let's start there. It seems like the line has settled at Philadelphia minus 1.5.
So this will not be a surprise to anyone who's listened to me for years.
You're going to live bet it.
Mark, I have not made a pregame bet on the side or the total of the Super Bowl. Subjectively, I like the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to win the game, but it's very close. The thought of betting against Patrick Mahomes, like Mahomes is an underdog in a game. How many times are you going to get that in your lifetime, really, especially in the Super Bowl? So that scares me to death, for one. The second thing that scares me to death is, as much as I love the Eagles, and I think they're a complete team, they've played nobody all year long. Like, their marquee victory this year, I think, was week 1 against the Detroit Lions. Like, that was their best win of the entire year. They finally have to play a team in the conference championship in San Fran, and they injure Brock Purdy in the first half of that game, and it ends up being a blowout as well. So I think that scares me a little bit, but the Eagles are so well built because you have Jalen Hurts on his rookie deal, so they can spread all this money around to all the skill position players. The O-line is deep. Their defensive line, like the players they can rotate in their front 7 on defense are absurd. They have like 8 players that can rush the quarterback, great cornerbacks, great secondary play. The wide receivers, like, they have 2 number 1s. Dallas Goedert's a top 5 tight end. So they've built a powerhouse of a team around an average to above average quarterback, not a guy that's elite. But ultimately, I think that's the way to win in this day and age in the NFL. So I like the Eagles to win the game. It's just a little bit too close for me to call. If this was like a week 12 game and it was Eagles Chiefs on a neutral field, I wouldn't bet it. So why am I going to bet it just because it's the Super Bowl? I'd rather put my money into the props market.
Just out of curiosity, though, do you want something to happen at the beginning of the game where you go, hey, I would love to bet Philadelphia, but if I can flip it and get Philadelphia +3 because the game starts in a different fashion, is there a certain way that you'd like it to start where you go, if this happens, I'm betting it?
Typically, when the Chiefs are trailing, they're a good bet. That's been the case for them for a long time. But the problem is the Eagles are just putting teams away over and over. Like, they put the games out of reach. I would say no, Mark. Like, honestly, unless it's a key injury, or something like that happens. We know Mahomes is still dealing with the high ankle sprain, probably at 90% for this game. Jalen Hurts still dealing with the shoulder. So maybe if one of those guys doesn't look right in the early going, I'll get involved live betting. But aside from that, the Eagles all year, like, the Eagles are barely trailing. The one time they trailed for the majority of the game, they lost. That was the Washington Commanders, Monday Night Football. The rest of the time, they've just been leading over and over, and they put teams away. So it's hard to say what I expect from the Eagles if they go down in this game because we barely have seen it this year.
We haven't gotten our answer here because Crowder loves Philadelphia.
Eagles, baby.
Solana likes Kansas City. My lean is Kansas City only because everyone seems to be on Philly, and we thought maybe we would use you as the arbiter, but it doesn't seem like you have a side.
I think the Eagles are going to win the game. I don't think that they're a great bet as favorite. I would have loved to get the Eagles as an underdog in this game, and I would have bet that pretty heavily. But the early number, KC Open is a favorite. KC Open -2, -2.5. All the early sharp money came on the Eagles, and I'm late to the party here, so I'm not going to chase the number at this point.
Give us some prop bets that you love. Tell us where we should be putting our money. You know what I do like? And tell me if I'm crazy. I like a flyer on Travis Kelce at +800 to win MVP.
Okay, so I've heard this a lot this week. I don't know that Travis Kelce can win the MVP unless, like, Mahomes throws multiple interceptions in the win or all the touchdowns go to Kelce, because this is a very, like, narrative-driven award. The best player, like, look at when they beat the 49ers, right? Who was the running back in that game? Darrell Williams, I think it was, had a great game. He ran for like 150 yards. He sealed the deal. They still gave it to Mahomes in that game. So it's challenging. I don't love that bet. I don't. I think that Kelce just...
I'm putting it in right now.
Yeah. I'll get the text message. 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Told you so, Pizzola.
It's the only reason that I ask him stuff, and then he says, don't do it, and then I like to put it in anyway. Because
it's the spite bet. I do that with my friends, too.
The spite bet, yeah.
We just like to show up our friends. That's part of what sports betting's all about, right? You told me this wasn't going to happen. Guess what? I bet it. It happened. Get lost, right?
And Rob, what did I like was the under, because everybody's saying this is a 37-34 game. I don't see how you put up 35 points on the Eagles defense. And then offensively, Jalen Hurts, his first Super Bowl, there's big lights. And like you're saying, he's not an elite quarterback. I think this is one of those 24-21 games, and I like the under, but everybody's calling me crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. I mean, if I had to bet the total, I'd bet the under as well. I think 27-20 is what I'll call my shot. Eagles 27-20 is kind of how I see this playing out. But Super Bowl's a different game, right? Like, people just think this is it's like week 5 of the regular. There's nerves involved here. Like, look at the first quarters of all these Super Bowls the last couple decades. They're all low scoring. It takes teams time to get into the game. It's completely different. And there's a bye week involved for both teams as well. I personally think, and I've done some analysis into this, that favors the defense a little bit more than the offenses, getting to prep for the opposing offense for a couple of weeks. I'm with you, Channing. I think that under is the look in this game, if anything. Most of the public's going to gravitate towards the over. That's just naturally, and like for everything in this game, right? Like if you're betting player props, everyone wants to bet overs. Nobody wants to root for unders in the Super Bowl, all these casual bettors that are betting the game. So if you're going to bet an under, wait till the last minute. Wait till 5 minutes before kickoff, because all this over money is coming in all week. All these numbers go up, and that's the best time. So contrarian is good sometimes, Crowder.
All right, give us the prop bets that you love. We just told you what we like. You like one, you didn't like the other. What do you like? What should we bet Sunday?
Okay, so overs that I would bet now, as of now, because I still think that, again, it's going to go up before game time. I like Jerick McKinnon over 20.5 receiving yards. I think that's a solid bet. He's been like quieted down in the playoffs, but if you remember Jerick McKinnon in the regular season, if you went to bet his over on receiving yards, you had to lay like 29.5, 33.5. This number is significantly deflated now because Pacheco had that huge game in the conference championship game where he had like 60 receiving yards. So I think McKinnon gets back on track here. If you're going to try to offset the Eagles pass rush, what do? You get the ball out of Mahomes' hands quickly. You run some screen passes. I think McKinnon's going to be heavily involved there. So that's one over I like. And I like A.J. Brown over receiving yards, which is 70.5. He's been very quiet in the playoffs as well. Guess what? The Eagles have been killing teams in the play. They smoked the Giants. They were smoking the 49ers. They really haven't had a reason to attack the defense. I think this will be a closer game. Look at A.J. Brown down the stretch this season. I mean, he had 70 or more yards in the last 6 games of the regular season. He had 8 or more targets in 5 of those 6 games. Guy's a beast, and we've kind of forgotten about him because the Eagles have been up ahead for a while. So those are the 2 overs that I like, or like, in terms of a receiving yardage total, skill position player that I think is going to go over their number. The under that I like, you might plug your ears, Mark. Solana, you might want to mute his headset or something like that. I'm going to wait till last minute on Sunday, and I'm going to bet Patrick Mahomes under passing yards. Under. Right now,
290 or something now?
295.5 right now. I'm holding out hope that we get a 300 or so. But when I talk about overs being inflated in the Super Bowl sometimes, no one wants to bet Patrick Mahomes under on his passing yardage total. If you look at when he's played better defenses this year, whether it's Denver or Cincinnati, where was he priced in those games? He's priced in the low 280s. So we're getting like an additional 15 to 20 yards here on the under. But again, I don't think KC's taking downfield shots in this game. I don't think they have the time to do that. They have Marquez Valdes-Scantling, but they really don't have a true downfield threat in this game. I think it's pick the Eagles apart, take what you can, 4 or 5 yards at a time, slow passing game, try to run the ball. That's where the Eagles have struggled this year. So I like the under on Patrick Mahomes. Wait till last minute. There's no reason to bet that now.
Crowder, didn't you say yesterday that you like Mahomes rushing over?
Yeah, because everybody's doubting that ankle, and he's going to be running away from those 3 waves of Eagles rushers.
And we checked it yesterday. What was it? It was like
18,
19
I believe,
or something like that. Do you like that at all, Rob?
I don't mind that. Look, I mean, there's a little bit of uncertainty because of the ankle for sure, and that's built into the price now. Like, here's the one concern when you're betting quarterback overs, right? And by the way, this happened in the Super Bowl, Chiefs and 49ers. Patrick Mahomes kneeled for about 15 yards on the final 3 plays of that game because he took snaps out of shotgun. So if you like the Chiefs to win and you're betting Mahomes overs, remember that there's the possibility of him kneeling on the ball late in the game, which takes away his rushing yardage totals. I remember that vividly because I bet the under, and that was the luckiest win I've ever had in my life.
Oh, you covered on that. That's an amazing
he
cover.
15 yards, not exaggerating, on a couple plays in that game. So just remember that.
What else do you like? So you gave us a Jerick McKinnon over in receiving, A.J. Brown over in receiving, Patrick Mahomes under in passing. Anything else?
Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score, which you can find around plus 100 right now. Jalen Hurts is the red zone offense for the Eagles. Like against the 49ers, they literally ran a quarterback sneak from the 2-yard line to set up a quarterback sneak from the 1-yard line. Like this is a high percentage play for the Eagles. This is what they do, and they do it with a lot of success. Hurts gets into the end zone a lot. The only times in the latter half of the year that he didn't get into the end zone was the Giants game, final week of the regular season. That was his first game back from the shoulder injury. They didn't want him to run a lot. And there was one game against Green Bay. They won 40-33 in that game. He didn't score a touchdown. He ran for 157 yards. So it was very unlucky that he didn't score a touchdown in that game. But this is what they do. Short yardage, they execute the quarterback sneak. And it doesn't have to be from the 1-yard line either. If they're on the 9 or the 10, they run that option. He keeps the ball a lot. I think at even money, that's a great bet. I think he scores a touchdown way more often than not. So that's the 4th. And then what I would say for the 5th, I'll split this into 5A and 5B. I bet Jalen Hurts to throw an interception at plus 115, Patrick Mahomes to throw an interception at minus 105. Mahomes has thrown interceptions in both of the Super Bowls he's been in. He's thrown 2 in both of them. But you have the number 1 sack rate team in the entire league. The Eagles had 70 sacks this year. The Chiefs were number 2 at 55. These are quarterbacks that are going to face pressure. And when you face pressure, you throw some balls into coverage. You have to make decisions on the fly. People are like, oh, great quarterbacks. I don't want to bet these interception overs. I disagree. You get balls batted at the line of scrimmage, up in the air, all sorts of chaos that can happen. So both quarterbacks take a half unit and bet them both to have an interception in the game.
All right, so here's what he gave us officially. And Solana or Crowder, if you have any objections, say them now. Jerick McKinnon over 20.5 receiving yards. A.J. Brown over 70.5 receiving yards. Patrick Mahomes under passing yards. Wait till the last minute on that one. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown score. Jalen Hurts to throw an interception, and Patrick Mahomes to throw an interception. Does anyone have an objection?
Think I'm good. Rob sounds like it makes a lot of sense, baby.
You know, it makes too much sense that Mark is about to go put these all in one parlay. I already know what's happening here. This is why he's looking for objections.
I got a big hole to dig out of.
Yeah,
big hole to dig out of.
Yeah.
You have any objections, Solana?
I like everything Rob said other than A.J. Brown over on receiving yards. I don't like it. I think the Eagles are going to hammer the run. So I just don't see the big play in a Super Bowl from Jalen Hurts. I don't see, I could be wrong. I don't see it. Everything else, though, I love Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception, by the way. I love that. And I love Mahomes under 295 or whatever, waiting until it's at 300.
I don't love that one. But I've never bet an under in my life, though. I don't know if our site even takes unders.
Rob was talking about you and people love overs, but is that a sound thought on how to bet?
No, he's got me pegged. I'm the exact casual gambler that just roots for scoring. I don't care if it's hockey, football, basketball. I don't think I've ever bet an under.
I'll tell you one of the best like sporting events for me ever was the Super Bowl with the Rams and the Patriots. 13-3 final, just all the unders cashing. Like that's my dream scenario this year, right? You know, like I'm giving out some overs here and whatever, but the majority of my portfolio that bets I'm going to put in on Sunday are going to be the unders. So honestly, give me a 13-10 final and I'll be really happy with that.
He's the worst. I hate this guy.
It's the most boring game I've ever watched.
It's brutal.
Everyone hated that Super Bowl.
Football, Rob.
I bet the Rams in that game too, like a stooge. So that made it. But all the unders came through on all the skill positions.
Do you bet any novelty props when it comes to the Super Bowl?
I do, but I don't bet it for the fun of betting it. You know, some people are
literally looking for an edge.
Yeah, like, you know, I typically will get some information that's delivered to me of like the anthem rehearsal time was this.
But they've really cut down on bets on that though, because everyone seems to get a lot of information on that. Like I saw on my site that was limited to $100. The anthem prop.
It's almost impossible to get down large amounts of money. Two things happened a few years ago. There was someone on Twitter who recorded the anthem time from outside the stadium from rehearsals. They posted it to Twitter thinking they were doing everybody a big favor, like go bet the anthem time. It's like nobody, like you just killed the market for the next, like that's not. And then last year, a significant tout, like a media personality, sent out a play on the national anthem, and so many people bet it at once that that market is dead. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a novelty props guy. Like, I bet Diamonds to be the last song of the half for Rihanna. I don't know. I don't listen to Rihanna. I don't know.
But how do you feel like you have an edge there?
Oh, someone sent me a text saying Diamonds is going to be the last song of the halftime show. And I said, all right, like, I don't know if this is right or not, but it comes from someone I respect. Maybe I'm going to go and bet it. So I bet it at 9-1, 10-1. It's now like plus 150. I don't know if that info is right. I have no clue, but
will you recognize the song? Like, will you know if you win, or will you?
No, my wife will be with me and be like, "Yeah, you got it." Like, I'll tell it. Yeah, I give her all the novelty props we're cheering for because that's what she enjoys from the game. But no, I would have no clue. No clue.
That's funny. So, and do you like kind of look down on the novelty prop bettors who do it for fun and not, with any kind of edge?
I don't look down on anyone. Like, it's your money, right? You bet your money however you want. I try to educate people on like where I think they can and can't bet, mistakes that they should avoid, and things like that. But at the end of the day, everyone's betting their own money. I just say bet responsibly. Like, at the end of if you're betting the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday, chances are you probably don't have an edge on a lot of this, especially if you're going to bet the side of the game or the total. Like, there's sports books in the US right now. There's Circa in Las Vegas. There's offshore books. There's Pinnacle. They're taking $150,000 bets on the game, and they'll let you rebet it too. Oh, so you could get, like, they're very confident that the spread and the total are right for the Super Bowl. So just don't get carried away. Bet within your limits, and you can have a good Super Bowl experience. But that's what it comes down to. Remember, it's entertainment for a lot of people.
You don't see it moving anymore off 1.5.
It might, but it's going to take a lot of money to do that. Like, if it does, someone is placing some heavy bets, and not only someone is placing a heavy bet, it's someone that the sports book really respects as a winning bettor. So if you see line movement from now to game time, someone that is a huge winning bettor has placed a bet on one side or the total in the game.
What a delight this is to be able to watch Rob. For those who don't know, we do the show on video, and you can go to the 560 WQAM YouTube page, and Solana posts all the clips from the show. But Rob has show us one more time your Tim Hortons coffee cup, because that's delightful.
Yeah. Timmy Hose, as Kyle Lowry said, right?
What? It wasn't Kyle Lowry. Who was it, Solana? It was an NHL network broadcaster.
No, it was the old hockey
Chris Drieger?
goaltender
Chris Drieger
for the Panthers.
No one says Timmy Hose. I don't know what Drieger was talking about.
Someone says it because we say it now. And I see that there's a Toronto Maple Leafs banner in your background there.
It's a scarf because it gets cold around here. I have to buy scarves.
What's that red and white scarf?
This red one is Toronto FC, MLS team that I
support.
You hold it up. You hold it up at the games.
I do. I hold it up during the national anthem of the game.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the soccer tradition, right?
Love this guy.
It is fun to be able to see him, and he's got the Tim Hortons cup. Did you do that specifically for us, or do you always have one next to you, as most Canadians do?
No, I just dug this out of my neighbor's garbage. Actually, there's nothing in it. I wouldn't buy this stuff. I'm just
he knows the bit, Hawk. He knows the bit.
Rob Pizzola. I mean, if only he had a poster of Gordon Lightfoot behind him, it would really show us your syrup. I know you have some.
I don't have syrup. I have it in the house. Not
Go
in the
ahead.
room.
Show us your syrup. You have to have some around you.
Not in. There's nothing around me right now. I've been thinking, like, do I have anything that's truly Canadian with me right now?
Show us a loony. Do you have a loony in your pocket?
No, it was
no
bad
loonies.
It was a bad week for me. I had to give away the loonies last week. Yeah.
had to pay up on the loonies. Well, there you go. Rob Pizzola. Follow him on Twitter at Rob Pizzola. We always appreciate you making time for us. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, guys. Good luck on the Super Bowl.